Welcome to the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast, brought to you by the Arkansas Cattlemen's Association. Here, we dive into the heart of Arkansas's cattle industry, where legislation, education, advocacy, and development come together to support the hardworking cattle producers of the natural state. Whether you're in the pasture or on the road, this is your connection to the people, policies, and programs shaping the future of our industry. Hello, and welcome to the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast. We're excited to be back with you this week. I'm excited to be back with y'all this week. I missed the last episode as I was traveling at a conference, but this week we're in for a special treat. We're sitting down with someone that needs no introduction to the ACA family, our outgoing president, Scott Sullivan. Scott served our association with energy, insight, and a deep-rooted commitment to Arkansas cattle producers. We're going to talk about his term, what he's proud of, and what comes next. So we're very excited. We're recording this right before our convention. And so at the end of the conclusion of convention, Scott will conclude his 2-year term. So welcome, Scott. We're excited to have you.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. So we're going to hop right in. Because like I said, we're recording this before convention. So we've got a whole tons of boxes outside. We need to start moving and packing. But we wanted to be able to sit down with Scott and share some of his insights. So for folks that may not know you, can you give us a quick background, where you're from, what your operation looks like, and how you got involved with the ACA?
Oh, my background goes back to my great-grandfather moved to our farm in 1921. I'm the fourth generation operator there. It's always been geared around a cow-calf operation. I've developed it into a cow-calf operation, a purebred operation, and a stocker operation. And we run about 400 head of mama cows, and we'll background 500, 600, 700 yearlings through the winter.
Yep. Down in South Arkansas, you've got a majority Hereford.
Well,
I say that. Your purebreds you have are Herefords.
The purebreds are Hereford. We run about 150 Hereford cows and about 250, 300 Angus cross-type cows. I like producing the black baldies going into the feeder market.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, to me, that just kind of shows the versatility within the industry. Like, you don't have to do only one thing. And so, perfect. Do you remember the first time you ever attended an ACA meeting, a county meeting, when, I believe, if I've heard the story before, I believe it was when you were a younger?
I was very young. I don't really know how old I was. I was probably 5, 6, 7 years old, somewhere in that ballpark. But my dad, along with Dr. Revels, Don Stemple, Devo Bollinger, and several others that got active and started the Sevier County Cattlemen's Association. So I was rooted in it very young. Pretty
much your whole life at that point.
Pretty much. I've always known the ACA as being an integral part of the cattle business in Arkansas. Yep.
Yeah. And what drew you into leadership?
Well, it wasn't really anything that I really seeked out, but by the encouragement of some of the members, I felt like it was something I was drawn to because of their encouragement for me to step into more of a leadership role, and I was glad to do it. And you can't be afraid not to step into leadership roles whenever you're asked. Yep. Because people respect you enough to ask.
Yes, definitely. And I know I'm very appreciative of it. We started at the same time, actually.
Exactly.
My first day as executive vice president was your second day, technically, as president, because previously the rollover, the turnover occurred in January. And so you were elected in convention in July, but didn't start until January. So we started together. And so we really have been along this journey every day together.
Yeah, you're going to miss me when I'm gone.
I know, I will. I will. And so it's been a wonderful trip. We're really grateful for it, and we're grateful for your leadership and your mentorship, and that you're willing to say yes when asked. I think a lot of times people kind of doubt themselves or just kind of say, oh, I'm way too busy for that, which you easily could have done. You have a lot of other things going on. Or they say, well, maybe I'm not the right person for that. But it goes to show that if you're willing to step in, good things can happen when we all work together. So on that note of good things, when you stepped into the role as ACA president, what were your goals or priorities?
Well, I stepped in at a kind of a difficult time. It was a time when our finances weren't up to par at where they needed to be, and we had to make some difficult decisions and go to the membership and ask them to step up and do a dues increase for our membership. And, I'm very proud of the fact that our members have stepped up, realized that we needed to raise our dues and to move our membership forward and our association forward. It's been a challenge, but it's been one that, looking back at, it was a step that definitely needed to be made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to further clarify that, one of the reasons it probably needed to be made is the fact that we hadn't increased our dues in 15 years. And so they had remained at the same level at the active member and associate member level for 15 years. And so no increase in revenue had occurred, but yet we can all attest that nothing costs the same as it did 15 years ago. And so while we were very careful with our spending and we were very much cutting costs all across the board, we couldn't cut our way out of this. We had to make sure that we had an increase in revenue. And so,
a great thanks to Cody and to you for looking at everything that we could reduce cost on. And it was just the fact that we had reduced the cost to a level that there wasn't any way to cut any more fat out of our budget. It was a very, very lean budget.
Yep. Yes, very much so. And so that definitely was a struggle. It was a hard time. I remember this time last year, as we were prepping for and wrapping up convention, that discussion and debate was heavily, at convention was heavily focused around that dues increase, and your leadership throughout that, making sure that everyone's voice was heard, because I promise you there were tons of feelings and thoughts on both sides, but making sure that everyone had the opportunity to share their voice and their opinion, but then making sure at the end of the day we were working together for whatever the membership decided.
Exactly. And kudos to the staff. You and Nora Lee, y'all made meetings, y'all explained the need for the dues increase. I did not want anybody not to know why we were needing a dues increase and why we needed to move forward with the dues increase. And y'all did an excellent job of going to our membership and going to our meetings and taking the time and explaining our financial situation.
Yeah, and I think that's my next question is what you're most proud of. But I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is the fact that Nora Lee and I were able to do that. I set the goal when I started in January and February of 24. Was that? Yeah, 24. It was only 2024. When I started in 2024, my goal was to hit all county associations. So I wanted to hit 60 or 64 of our county associations, if you count our collegiate chapters. And so I wanted to hit all of our counties, knowing that that was a astronomical goal. But the reason behind it was exactly that, was I wanted to talk about the potential for a dues increase prior to and make sure they knew that was coming at convention, but afterwards also talk about what the membership decided in terms of a dues increase. And so Nora Lee, Scott filled in for some of them, and so we had either a staff or the ACA president at all 60 of the county associations this year. And so actually I think it ended up being about 62 or 63 because we hit the majority of the collegiate associations as well. And so we were able to have those conversations. And so I think that had a big effect, not necessarily just us being there, but us being willing to have the conversation and have the open dialogue of here's what's going on, helped with the dues increase.
Well, that's the way you solve any problem, is by communicating and having input from your stakeholders. And I feel like we did as good a job as possible of having our stakeholders informed and having their input.
Yep.
So it was a great step for the Cattlemen's Association to take, and thanks to the membership for
Yes.
their willingness to be committed to the ACA in the cattle business in Arkansas, because we represent all cattlemen. You know, if you're not a cattleman, you need to be a cattleman's member, because we represent every cattleman in the state of Arkansas, or cattle person in the state of Arkansas, because they're not all men, because there's a lot of operations being run by the ladies out there. So.
Yep. Yeah. So looking back over the last 2 years now, what do you consider your biggest accomplishment or proudest moment from this term?
Well, I think that you've got to be proud of the fact that we educated the membership and made them aware of the need of the dues increase, like we've been talking about, and that moves us forward where we are financially sound for several years into the future, and it's something that needs to be constantly looked at to be sure that we don't fall behind like we did, and be sure that we keep the financial stability in good standing as we move forward.
Yep. Yeah, because I think that was one thing that was touched on a lot by a lot of people was, well, that's a big jump. We went from $50 to $100. That was quite the jump. But it's because it hadn't been looked at, or hadn't been, not that it hadn't been looked at, but no movement had been made on increasing the dues in 15 years. No actual action had been taken. Whereas if technically we would have loved to say, hey, let's go $5, let's go $10 10 years ago, or whatever it may have been, and it could have definitely made a big difference, but we didn't. And so you learn. It's always that old saying of like hindsight's 20/20. You're like, oh
It's
dang.
always 20/20 when you're looking back. So.
Yep. Yeah, it makes a lot more sense when you're looking back. You're like, oh yeah, I wish I had done that. So, speaking of that, every presidency has unexpected challenges. So, what was something that surprised you, or that you had to pivot on?
Well, some of the things that maybe not are as obvious, but I want to be sure that our relationship with inside the ag community in Arkansas was one that everybody knew that we were a player. I've worked for several years in the ag community in the legislative realm of things, and we've always had a good reputation at the Capitol. But I also wanted to know that our friends at the Poultry Federation, the Ag Council, the Rice Federation, Farm Bureau, you can go on and on, but that the forestry folks, that we are all in agriculture together, and that we all need to work together at the Capitol, because you've got to remember that our legislature at one time was a very rural legislature, and they understood agriculture. But as Arkansas is growing, more and more members at the Capitol are more urban and less agriculture oriented, and we all need to work as a team to educate our members at the Capitol on the importance of agriculture, and that it is Arkansas's #1 industry.
Yeah, I've been along for that ride as well, because we've been having the same conversations throughout the last 2 years, and I think a lot of times what we tend to forget is that overall we want the same thing. We may get there, we may want to get there different ways, but we want the same thing, which is agriculture to be successful and to succeed in Arkansas and to be well represented. And so we have similarities that we can find. Are we going to agree on every single thing? No. Never. That's not possible. Sometimes we don't even agree with everything within the cattlemen's, and so there's going to be different breeds, different all these things. But what we can do and what we can agree on is we can have a very strong voice when we're all unified together.
That's right. And nothing gets accomplished when you're divided. And we got to agree to disagree sometimes, but that doesn't mean we're not friends.
Correct. And along those routes, ACA was involved in some major legislative wins over the last 2 years. So how did you approach working with lawmakers or representing Arkansas cattlemen on the policy side?
Well, it's important whenever you step foot in the Capitol that you take time to get to know the members of the Agriculture Committee and the other committees that are relevant to our industry. And you got to make friends because they are there, and I can attest to this because I was once there as a state representative. You want input from the stakeholders, and it's important that we know the members and the members know us. And whenever you go to them and visit with them, they know where you're coming from. And it takes time to build those relationships. And fortunately, kudos to you. You came in, hit the ground running, and you wear your hat, and everybody knows that you're the person representing the Arkansas cattle industry.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that goes beyond just us. Like, as president, obviously, as the exec, like, we have a tie, we have positions there, we have this thing, but it doesn't matter what position you hold within the cattlemen's, even if you're just a member. I'm using air quotes here if you're not watching online, quote unquote, just a member. You can still build those relationships with your elected officials. They want to hear from you.
Oh, it is important that every one of our members know their state senator and state representative, because that gives us credibility whenever we're talking to a member at the Capitol on an issue. And, take time, each one of you, to introduce yourself and let them know who you are and that you are a cattle producer in our state.
Perfect. All right, we're going to switch over a little bit. So what stands out to you about the people in this association? What's your favorite thing about working with the people here?
I guess I could get a little bit emotional here, but they are the people that I love.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the right words, but they are the people that make our economy great.
Mm-hmm.
In rural America, and we've got to fight for rural America. And people that live in rural America, they like being left alone.
Mm-hmm.
They like going to church on Sundays and going to their community activities. But they are the heartbeat of this nation.
Yep.
And with that, it's great pride to be just a little bit involved in their life and trying to make their life better.
Yep. Yes, very much so. They're salt of the earth people. They are the ones you can call them any time of day. We know they'll be there. They show up for their own. So, what advice would you give to someone that is thinking about getting involved at the cattlemen's in the state or county level?
Do not ever say you're too busy. Because if somebody asks you to step in and be a leader, they respect you for that. They feel like they see something that you may not see in yourself. But everyone has the ability to be a leader at some level, and everyone is a leader, and it's something that we've got to be willing to step up and take the bull by the horns and be willing to step out of our comfort zone. I can remember I never thought I'd be a state representative, but I always thought I'd be the person doing the fish fry or the barbecue or fundraising or for a politician, and the tables got turned on me, and they encouraged me to run. And anytime you take that step, whether it's a local political position, a association position, a position at church, it will be rewarding, and you'll look back and be proud of the fact that you took that opportunity to step outside your comfort zone. And the more you step outside your comfort zone, the easier it gets.
Yep, very much so. And on that note, are there any moments from the past 2 years that made you step back and realize this is why I'm doing it?
Well, we keep harping on the dues increase, but whenever I was elected 2 years ago, I knew that we could not continue status quo.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I was put in the position to lead the charge to better the financial situation that Arkansas Cattlemen's was in at the time. I did not know what it needed to be at the time. I know we had working groups and everything trying to come up with a dollar figure, but I knew that it was something. If the Arkansas Cattlemen's was going to continue to be a organization that fought for the cattle producers in the state, that we had to step up and make the hard decisions to do the dues increase.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then going through with that and supporting it and having the membership back it, I think is a big piece of it. Is we just facilitated the conversations. Staff, the working groups, the committees did the math of saying, hey, here's what the numbers kind of look like. But really it was just a facilitation of conversation at convention, and then going from there and saying, okay, here's what's decided. Like, let's figure out how we can all do this together. And so that's been obviously a big focus for us over the last year, because we were in the dues increase discussion this time last year, and so it's been a very big conversation of, all right, this is what's happening. Here's why. Let's see what we can do together.
Exactly, and we can climb mountains when we work together. Yep.
And I'm excited to look at convention here tomorrow in a couple of days. By the time you hear this, we'll already have wrapped up convention. But I'm excited to be able to share a little bit of where we are financially, where we are membership-wise, where we are headed down the road. And so we're, I think, very well set up for the next couple of years, next few years for the Cattlemen's Association, in due in no small part to your work and your leadership over the last 2 years.
Well, it wasn't me. It was a team effort. Mm-hmm. We all did it together. It's don't think that it was just one person, because it wasn't. It was everybody taking ownership in the association and being willing to do what they needed to make this association better than it was. Yep.
So switching a little bit into the cattle industry side, so from increasing drought relief payments to record high market prices to a very wet season and spring here to now New World screwworm. There's no shortage of things that you have seen over the last 2 years within the cattle industry. What do you think is the most important issue that cattle producers need to keep an eye on in the next year?
Well, you've got to keep your eye on the ball, because it's the political landscape is always changing. Political leaders change, political ideals change, and we've got to be ready for those changes and being sure that those changes do not have a negative effect on the cattle industry in Arkansas. The New World screwworm deal, I knew about it. I remember a little bit of it when I was a young child, not really understanding the issue there. But after going to San Diego to the summer board meeting and getting the update on the New World screwworm, we better be paying attention to that, because I really believe after that meeting in San Diego that it's not if it gets here, it's just when it gets here, and we've got to have some ideals on how to combat that issue. And with the political landscape and the environmental landscape, there's always plenty of issues to have to fight and be willing to educate our memberships on.
Yep. Yeah, very much so. It's always, and I feel like the veterinarians, the health officials always do a very good job of trying to control the scare of watching and reading and seeing these things. But when you're looking at it in that big grand scheme of things, where we were in San Diego for the NCBA summer business meeting, it's very eye-opening, because a lot of times we're like, oh, well, it's just, I'm here in Wicks, Arkansas. Yes, obviously I'm close to a border, but how is that? What's it really mean? But seeing it up close and personal from the risk standpoint kind of opens everybody's eyes a little bit.
I really appreciate Brooke Rollins, our Secretary of Agriculture, in the fact that she's hit the ground running.
Yeah.
She gets it. She's working for us, and we've got to continue to support her and work to protect our industry and work hand in hand with her leadership and be sure that we keep our industry protected.
Yep. So looking at what is ahead for you, so one, what do you think, what will you miss most about being in this role? Nothing. You're going to be so glad to be done. You'll be glad not to get a phone call from me pretty much every day.
No. That's just part of the job, and I can remember I left a job one time, and it was a high pressure job, and I missed working on the big stuff, the little nitpicky day to day aggravation stuff. No, I didn't miss it, but I missed working on the big stuff. And I'll still be here, but it'll be somebody else's position to lead after this. But I'll be here for support, and Lord knows my plate's got plenty on it. I'm not going to go off and crawl in a hole and not be active anymore. Yep. Because I've got plenty on my plate to have to deal with, and it's not like I'm going to be out of sight.
No, we'll definitely keep you in touch for the legislative sessions, because I know you'll be down there anyway. But even as the immediate past president, obviously you'll still have a place and a spot here at the Cattlemen's, because we have been very grateful for your leadership. But that leads us into you have a little more free time now, not much, but like a little bit. What are your plans for the next chapter? What are you most looking forward to focusing on now?
Well, what was it? Well, 2 years. It'll be 2 years ago in October. I was elected to the American Herpet Association board, and it's a 4-year term, and I'll be very active in the leadership roles in that going forward. Hey, I'll be 65 next May. It's time for me to take a fishing trip every once in a while. So,
yep.
I'd like to keep my cattle operation up and going, but if we can find a little time to go take a fishing trip or take a trip with my wife, we don't get very many opportunities to take a vacation. So.
At least ones that aren't tied to work.
That's aren't most. Our vacations are a day or two here that's tied to a meeting.
Yep.
And we don't get to take very many vacations together.
No. Yeah, I understand. And so you've earned it. You've earned that time to just relax a little bit. Obviously, you're still going to have a very full plate and still have things to do, but I think a fishing trip every now and then sounds very nice. Maybe go somewhere when it's 105 degrees here you can go somewhere cooler.
Exactly.
That might be good.
It won't be to the beach.
No, gosh, no. That just sounds miserable at that point. You're like, I'm already hot and sweaty. Like, I might as well be hot and sweaty and productive, not be sitting on a beach.
That's right.
So, perfect. As we wrap up, if you could leave the next president or any future ACA leaders with one piece of advice, what would it be?
What I would say is don't look short-sighted. Be looking 5, 10, 15 years down the road. You know, we don't know what 15 years down the road is really going to look like, but be prepared to lead this organization so that it is ready for whatever happens 10, 15, 20 years down the road. That we've got some things ahead of us. You know, the foundation has chose to liquidate our office building, so we'll be looking for new office space, and which you know, things evolved, and that this is part of the evolution of things. But you know, we'll find a new home, and you know, thanks to the foundation, they have committed to financial support for us to find a new location to call home. But you know, we've got to just keep focused on what continually evolves in the world of agriculture, and keep our sights set on the future, not just what's in front of us at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. I think it's very easy for us, especially in agriculture, because we're involved in the day-to-day. We are very doer-oriented people. It is very easy to get stuck and focused on what can we do today? What can we do that? But we really do need to be thinking much more forward-thinking, bigger picture items for sure. Any thanks? Anybody you want to share some words of appreciation with before we ask our last question?
You know, a big thanks is to you and the staff, Nora Lee, Randy, Autumn. Y'all have all been excellent to work with. I wouldn't trade y'all for anybody.
Same.
You know, the executive committee, the state board, thank y'all for y'all's leadership. Y'all have made the challenge of raising the dues, even though it wasn't easy, it made it realize that we were in it together. And to the membership, hey, I appreciate each and every member out there, because you are committed to the cattle industry in Arkansas. We just need to make sure that the ones that are not members know that we're working for them, and that they need to be a part of this association, so that we can be better focused on our industry. Yep.
And so you're not in trouble, I'm going to remind you to thank Dr. BS as well.
Oh, okay. You know, my wife, bless her heart, she has to put up with me, but that's a two-way street sometimes. But she has always been encouraging and making sure that I stay focused on the issues I need to be focused on.
Yep. Yeah, understanding that there's a lot of early mornings, late nights, a lot of travel. While you are obviously have been the president of the Cattlemen's Association, the face of the Cattlemen's Association, Dr. Sherry has been behind the scenes every step of the way, being supportive, helping out, both of y'all making sacrifices across the board to be able to help the association forward, and we're grateful to both of y'all.
We both love agriculture.
Yep.
We both love Arkansas, and we love the people of Arkansas, and we work for them.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if you had any final words, but I feel like that might be it.
That's it.
That's the best way to end this.
Wrap it up.
That is perfect. But we so appreciate it, Scott. We've appreciated your leadership and mentorship and guidance over the last 2 years. We're excited that you're not necessarily going anywhere. You're not leaving us. You're just going to a different position, into the immediate past president role. But we're very grateful for it, and we're excited to see what comes next for us.
I've always looked forward to being a past president.
Here you go.
Here we go.
Yeah, you'll be in it by the time this airs and everybody hears it. So
that's right.
You'll be enjoying your retirement as it is, quote unquote.
Yeah, such as it is.
Yeah. But we truly appreciate it. We hope you enjoy this episode. We hope that you were able to join us at convention last week. And if you have any thoughts, if you have any feedback on convention, let us know in the comments. But if you will, just drop in the comments a congratulations, a thank you to Scott for his leadership over his term, and just share with us our appreciation for it. We appreciate it. We will see you next episode.
This is the Arkansas Cattle Business Podcast, your trusted source for all things cattle in the natural state.